Well, that's not the first thing I thought you'd take off, but...
Given the recent box office failure of Furiosa, a movie that suffered greatly due to its girl boss image, even though that's not really what it is, but it did remind me of another time a popular movie franchise took the same baffling approach. The Daniel Craig Bond movies, a saga that's come to an end, has had a mixed reputation to say the least. The first one was amazing, second one was fucking awful, third one was quite good, fourth was okay, but disappointing, and the finale probably lands in the middle, in which the quality is the most mixed. The main issue being the ending. In case you haven't seen it, I'll leave it at that. But the thing that confused me the most was how they chose to market this, leaving me and a lot of others to believe that Daniel Craig's saga would conclude with somewhat of a feminist nightmare. I discussed this in my analysis, you can check that out, but I wanted to take a look at this particular topic as to this day, I don't know what the idea was here. The concept of a female 007 was something that was rumored a lot during production, to the dismay of the real Bond fans, and since this would be Daniel Craig's final stick as the lead, along with Lashana Lynch's character Nomi getting a lot of attention, we had to wonder if she would eventually be the official 007. Thankfully that didn't happen, and honestly I don't think it ever will, unless they truly want a box office fuck-up. But in the most recent movie she does at some point hold the 007 title, and I still don't know why. We'll get into the role she played in a minute, but first, let's look at how they marketed this. There were a number of TV spots that hinted at the girl boss concept, along with interviews and whatnot discussing how inspiring this will be, which, more times than not, would result in scenes in which Bond is put in his place. Gone would be the days of nailing 3 to 4 girls per movie, women would be quote-unquote respected, and the phrase Bond girl would be a thing of the past. Only thing is, that already happened. To great success, and nobody was complaining. Aside from a few questionable scenes in Skyfall, there is nothing in these new movies you could call disrespectful, and to be completely honest, that's okay. I don't take issue with the old films by any means. If you watch them, it does not make you sexist, but obviously they're not gonna get made today, and given that Casino Royale is debatably the best Bond film ever, I think the new image was essentially set in stone right off the bat. That's why it was a reboot. I would still prefer they call it something else, it's just the way I am, but it's understandable why they didn't do that. It's called money. That's why the new film had me concerned you really couldn't do any more to please the common everyday feminist, aside from, again, female lead. But in this case, we knew that wasn't happening, so I wasn't particularly enthused. However, when we eventually did get to see it, not only was that not the case, but it was the complete opposite. In fact, it was the most classic Bond movie of all the new Bond movies, in a way that should have been anticipated. As these new movies went on, they gradually became more like the classics, even disposing of the female M. Previous movies gave us complex, interesting villains. This one has a guy who wants to destroy the ocean because people want it. I honestly forgot, I'm sorry. And the scene with Pamela, the highlight in my opinion, is one of the most Bond-esque scenes in any modern movie. I expected this to be the most serious of the 5 films, and at times it definitely is, but then out of nowhere it goes back to feeling like classic Bond, and I just wish they'd done that sooner. So how does a female strong woman 007 who is going to inspire women fit into a movie that's clearly not leaning in that direction? Well, I'll tell you, it doesn't. It doesn't fit in at all, and is primarily a marketing tool. If you really analyze these scenes, I can't make any conclusion but that. As for her title, she only has that because Bond chose to quit, and at no point in this does she ever feel superior. Bond usually gets the last word, there's no intimidation to be found, and overall it feels like a fucking parody. Whenever she's on screen, it feels less like a movie, and more like somebody trying to joke about the concept of a female James Bond. Let's go back to the scene with Pamela, when they're fighting over the comic relief. What do you see here? I see 2 people having fun, drinking, killing bad guys, a character I wish stayed around a bit longer, and somebody only the most devoted feminist would like, getting in the way and ruining the fun. That's literally what this is. You'd have to be a whacked out idiot to like her. Some people do, and I'd assume they think they have to. I'm not trying to be insulting, but I don't know what there is to like. Not only is she given no cool scenes, but her personality can be described as childish.
007?
That must bother you.
He's been reinstated as a double O.
Double O what? Double O what?
What about this is appealing? Is this what you want to inspire young girls to be? Steal somebody's title when they quit and throw it in their face? Sad thing is, it probably is. However, she's not completely useless. I mean, plot-wise, she mostly is. But she is given one big, standout moment toward the end. Remember the comic relief?
I do not need a laboratory to exterminate your entire race from the face of the earth.
Time to die.
Why was that needed? Why the fuck was that needed? It's so fucking stupid. Yeah, kill the racist comic relief. That'll make you, memorable. Unfortunately, despite how funny this is, it really doesn't help the movie. Devoting a large amount of screen time to a pointless character is never a good thing, and the way I see it, it was probably done because there is nothing else they could do. Obviously they wanted to advertise the female 007, but they knew if they really gave the fake fans what they wanted, it would not end well, so they made a joke out of it instead. Everything is so heavily weighed in Bond's favor it isn't even a competition, and despite being amusing to a point, they could have, I don't know, written a decent character who isn't trying to be a girl boss. I mean, she is a girl boss, that's obvious. She just fails at it. Immensely. Bond puts her in her place and that's that. There's no competition to be had, but still, I wouldn't call it good writing. Amusing, definitely, but still not good, and it's not the only example of this. It reminds me a lot of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, never stops being funny. A movie that is truly awful, no question about that. Helena Shaw was a terrible character, even people who like the movie admit that. But Girl Boss, I wouldn't say that. She tries to get Indy arrested or killed. Definitely not likable, but not really superior either. I don't know what the idea was behind any of that movie, but No Time to Die is not the same deal at all, and Nomi is nowhere near as prominent. Overall, it's a bizarre case of trying to please everybody, which never usually succeeds. It's a lot more fun for true Bond fans, but a movie as a whole, it doesn't really work. There are bigger flaws with this, the ending, obviously, lackluster villain, wasted potential there, but for those who complain about the modern Bond movies in general, I don't see doing that here. I know it's lengthy, Bond is married this time, but if you want the quote-unquote classic experience, this is the best place to get that. What they chose to do with Nomi is baffling till this day, but it could have been a lot worse, the whole thing could have been, so the true fans can't complain too much. Hopefully in the future they don't do anything stupid to mess up the next Bond saga. It can't be ruled out. But like I said in my analysis, if you skip this one expecting what I expected, I'd give it a chance. It definitely doesn't fail that way, and still has a lot to like.
Permission for Commander Bond to be redesignated as 007. It's just a number.
Unless you're a woke loser, in which case you really won't like this. But let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Remember to like the video if you enjoyed, and consider hitting the subscribe button, it helps me a great deal. And remember kids, racism is wrong. It is, but you still can't kill people. It's illegal. So, you've made it to the end. That's an impressive feat indeed. Since you managed that, I guess check out the gaming channel, in which I cover a variety of gaming topics, like analysis videos, such as this one. If you're into that, then press the link in the description. It's that simple.